Good morning. It is Thursday, September 25th, and welcome to Up to the Minute Live. I'm Andrea Bonner, Chair of HCC's Consumer Arts and Sciences Center of Excellence, and I'm joined today by Linda Davis, who is the Office Manager for HCC Operations, and Linda is going to HCC Northeast Operations, and Linda's going to tell everyone how to find us today. Linda?
We're live on Houston City College's district Facebook page, Not HCC, and YouTube. We're also on X, LinkedIn, and on HCCTV at noon, 5 and 10, Monday through Friday. Make sure you like this episode and follow us on social media.
Thank you, Linda. For Hispanic Heritage Month, we're talking to an HCC history professor who's publishing a book on San Antonio's West Side. We have Dr. Alex LaRotta, who is the HCC U.S. and Mexican American history professor and the faculty founder of the HCC History Society. Welcome to the show again, Dr. LaRotta.
Hi, thanks so much. It's great to be back.
We're glad to have you, and we're going to talk to you a little bit later in the show. But first, we're happy to welcome an award-winning Afro-Latina poet, playwright, and author from Houston. We have Jasminne Mendez, who is an award-winning Dominican American poet, playwright, and author. Welcome to the show, Jasminne.
Hello. Hi. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
We're so glad to have you. I'm going to start with some reviews that I read on your latest book, The Story of My Anger. Some of the reviews say it's a firestorm of a story, a powerful love letter to finding and using your voice. This story will resonate deeply with those who struggle to feel seen and nurtured, particularly young women of color. Another review says it resonates with women of color who navigate challenging and unwelcome spaces. So Jasminne, tell me what and who inspires you to write?
Yes. Well, I have a long history of literary ancestors that I love and that I'm inspired by from my early days of writing poetry, including Maya Angelou, Julia Alvarez, Toni Morrison, Lucille Clifton, Esmeralda Santiago, lots of Dominican, Puerto Rican, and Black women writers who inspire me and motivate me to write. And I'm also inspired by the young Black and Brown women that I meet daily, weekly when I go visit schools and when I have readings and events, and just hearing that my stories have connected with them is really inspiring and keeps me motivated to keep writing the stories that I want to write.
That's amazing. So how did you get your start as a writer?
Yes. So, as mentioned, I started writing really young, just sort of for myself in my journals, writing poetry. And I actually did theater for a long time, which is what inspired the story of my anger, because it's a young Afro-Latina actress. But I eventually started writing poems for open mics and for poetry slams. I didn't compete very regularly or very often, but I did put myself out there performing poetry, spoken word, and slams. And it wasn't until I took a creative writing class in college at University of Houston, and a professor was putting together an anthology and said, I loved one of your essays. Can I publish it in this anthology? And I said, sure. And when I saw my name in print for the first time, I was hooked. And I knew that that's what I wanted to keep doing. I wanted to keep publishing. I wanted to keep writing because it really felt more permanent than the performance aspect. I still love performing. I still read my work aloud. But seeing my work in print and knowing that it'll live on after I'm gone was really motivating and inspiring. And so that's really how I got started in publishing. But I've been writing and performing for a very long time.
I love that instructor saw something in you, and the things kind of took off from there. I love that story. So do you write in multiple genres and across age ranges? I know earlier I said something about it being inspiring to young women, but how does your writing kind of translate across age ranges?
Yes. So I write everything from picture books to adult memoir. I've written a middle grade novel in verse. Story of My Anger is my young adult debut fiction work. I've also written YA memoirs for young teens, and I write for young children with my picture books, really celebrating Dominican culture, Dominican American cultures and ideas, and being from the diaspora, the Black diaspora, and what it means to be Afro-Latina in this time and in America. And so I always say that I write the stories that I wish I had had at a certain age, right? So I write the books for 8-year-old Jasminne, 15-year-old Jasminne, 25-year-old Jasminne, 33-year-old Jasminne. I'm in my 40s now. So I don't write just for young people, right? But I think about if I felt alone and if I felt like there was a story that I wanted to read that I didn't have at a crucial time in my life, those are the stories that I seek to write and for the people that I want to share my work with.
I love to hear that. So the future Jasmines are reading your book right now, and I'm so glad that you are reaching back to kind of tell those stories so that they have kind of something to associate with and look up to. So tell us about your new book that focuses on book banning, social justice, and art as activism. How do you come up with these story ideas?
Yes, a lot of them are often pulled from my own experiences as an Afro Latina, as a former actress and performer. I taught theater for a few years, I've directed plays, and really thinking about the ways in which so many of these spaces, right, don't tell brown and black folk stories, BIPOC stories, or Afro Latina stories, even, right? Experiences about being at the intersection of race and ethnicity and culture and all of that. And so the story of my anger is about a young Afro Latina actress in Texas, and she uses guerrilla theater, which is theater that you can put on anywhere, outside, in a park, at a playground, you know, at the grocery store, on the subway, on a train. And her and her friends put together this social activist group to raise awareness about the books being banned on her high school campus. Because when she finds out that her favorite play, which is Into Sake Shanges for colored girls who have considered suicide when the rainbow is enough, has been banned or pulled off of the shelves, she gets very angry, very emotional. And so it's really about the story of how this young woman channels her anger, finds her passion, and uses her talent, uses her acting talent, her performance ability, to make a change in her community. And in her school, and with her school board. Ultimately, she wants to go to the school board and have a petition to bring the books back to campus. And so it's really wanting to allow students and young people to think about the ways in which they can affect change in their own communities. And they don't have to go out and run for a politician or do something huge and major, but just speaking at your school board or rallying your friends for a common good, a common cause, whatever that may be that you're passionate about. There's ways all of us can make an impact and can make a change. And so hopefully it inspires young people, right, to go out there and to have their voices heard.
I love that. So, what about points related to it? Black girl anger and magic, theater arts, the form structure of the book. Tell me a little bit
Yes.
about that. You know, we hear those black girl magic a lot, and people are like, what does that mean, actually? So,
Yeah.
tell us about that.
Yeah, it's really about this young woman, Julieta, finding her power and using her passion, to speak out and to not be afraid to use her talents and to use her voice, like I said, to make a change and reach out. And I think that the way in which the story is told, it's through verse, so verse poems, as well as scenes written like plays. So you'll see the characters' names, and the dialogue next to them with stage directions. And so it's sort of a hybrid, a mix of genres, which I tend to do a lot in my work, is sort of mixing genres. So you see a little bit of poetry, you see a little bit of playwriting, here to be able to tell this story, and in a way that you get to see Yuli's growth with her anger. So her anger is something that is used for good. It also kind of ends up being not so good when she takes a turn with it. I won't spoil it, but we see how her anger can be used for good, as well as, you know, and also not have great consequences. And she learns from that, right, throughout this process. And so yeah, the mix of genres to tell this story. And I really think it's about this idea of every young Black girl like coming into her power, this idea of magic in the sense of like we're able to exude confidence and joy and to embrace our full selves. It's about seeing Julieta Lopez and all young Black girls and brown girls as full people who, yes, are flawed and are strong and are scared and are vulnerable and have the full human experience, and really wanting to encompass that and show that in this book.
I love that, Jasmine. So, you also have audiobooks. So, tell us what it's like to narrate your own audiobooks. And I actually like that when the author is speaking themselves, because sometimes you get the audiobook and I'm like, who's this voice? So what is it like to narrate your own audiobooks?
Oh, it's so fun. It's like my childhood theater dreams come true. It's not Broadway, but I feel like it's even better because more people have access to it. And I get to really just kind of act and portray these characters. And one of the beautiful and wonderful things about the story of my anger is that this audiobook has a full cast of characters. So every character has a different person that narrated that voice. So it really feels more like a radio play or a radio drama that you're listening to. So I highly encourage folks, if you're like, I don't have time to read, get the audiobook because you'll hear my voice when it's a lot of fun, and you'll also get to enjoy the other characters and that really bring the story to life. So I just love it.
I love it. Jasmine, I don't have your book, but I will get your book. I'm a big person on getting my books signed. So tell me where you are. I'm going to come get hopefully an autographed copy of this book. But thank you to you again, Jasminne Mendez, who is an award-winning Dominican American poet, playwright, and author. We want to remind our students and viewers about HCC's outstanding creative writing club and its reading and culture club. Check our post for information on those, as well as Jasmine's books, and after the show. So after a commercial break, Linda will be back with another amazing Hispanic Heritage Month guest.
Why wait on your dream job? At Houston Community College, tuition is only $33 per credit hour, with flexible schedules, over 100 programs, and campuses across Houston. HCC makes it easy and affordable. Your future for less. Houston Community College. Move your future forward.
Poison Help is a free 24/7 hotline that answers all of your poison questions in over 100 languages.
Hello? Poison Help?
Hello? When poison happens, we're here for you. Just call Poison Help, 1-800-222-1222.
Dear Santa, my mom says I'm a good helper, but you didn't come last year. I just really hope this year when I wake up, I'm gonna see that you came to my house too.
Donate today.
We're back with Dr. Alex LaRotta, HCC U.S. and Mexican Americans History Professor and faculty founder of the HCC Historic Society. Welcome back to the show, Alex.
Good morning, Linda, and kudos on the great pronunciation of my last name. How are you?
I'm wonderful this morning. Now, as if you're not busy enough here at HCC, we want to add that you're also the chair of the department's speaker series.
Correct. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, outside of that, you're also, your writing work has appeared in some pretty popular publications. The Washington Post, the Time Magazine, and Houston Chronicle, and more outlets. But tell us about the book you're working on and its topic.
Well, again, thanks for having me. And sure, always happy to talk about the work in progress. Yeah, this has been something very close to my heart. It's essentially kind of the history of this genre from San Antonio that highlights kind of the beginnings of a Mexican American rock and roll culture. There locally, it's known as the West Side Sound. The west side of San Antonio is kind of the historic Mexican American sort of region of the city. And so there's this kind of cross-pollination between Mexican American music, but also Anglo American and African American to kind of make this very distinct hybrid type of popular music. And the story also kind of narrates and charts the beginnings of Spanish language rock and roll music in the United States. And so it helps to kind of update a narrative about rock and roll music that's oftentimes understood, usually within a kind of a white and black context. Latinos generally are not really seen as contributors, oftentimes kind of seen as usually sideline players or just kind of one-off artists. So it's kind of a way to sort of correct that narrative, right?
So,
And so,
where are you?
yeah.
So
No,
where
sorry,
are
go ahead.
you in the book releasing process?
Well, because it's an academic publication, there's a lot of hoops to jump through. And so basically the manuscript is mostly finished, but the hoops I'm referring to are it needs to go through a peer review process. And so I'm inching close to that stage. So I'm kind of in the last editing parts of the manuscript. and then we'll send it off for review. And once it comes back from a review, then we'll get into the kind of the line editing process, which is generally kind of the later phase of the book. So
I
we're
see.
still a little bit of time out, but it's getting close.
Well, we're anxious for the release.
Thanks.
But until then, tell us a little bit more about this West Side Sound you were speaking about.
Sure. So again, it sort of charts the histories of kind of early Chicano rock and roll music in San Antonio. And I based this project off of, actually, this is a dissertation project I did at the University of Houston. So I've been kind of picking at this project for a few years, and I employ oral history to sort of highlight the contributions of Latino and Latina rock and rollers who are kind of oftentimes, again, sort of unsung. This is also kind of a manifestation of the Tejano music industry in San Antonio. And so it kind of looks at some of the entrepreneurs, the record labels, the pressing plants, to kind of give us a sense of Mexican American entrepreneurship. So it's as much as it is about music as it is about enterprise, industry, and assimilation, and obviously about rock and roll music.
Yes, absolutely. So how many musicians did you interview for this book?
Oh, apologies. Sorry about that. My light just went out. Sorry about that.
This is live. Anything can
Yes.
happen. It's
Oh
okay.
my gosh. Sorry
Get
about
your
that.
lighting together.
Oh boy. Wow. Sorry about that. There we go.
That's okay. There you go. We can see
There
you.
we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. It's live, like you said. I'm sorry, Linda. Can you repeat that one more time?
Well, how many musicians did you interview for this book? It sounds
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, so in the neighborhood of about 35 plus. I haven't done the final tally, but I spent a lot of time talking to musicians, some of whom have passed on since that time. As I said, I started this as a graduate student, but a lot of it was sort of finding these musicians, and they would say, "Hey, you might want to talk to this individual," or I would have names sometimes, and I would ask other musicians, "Hey, can you give me contact information for this person?" And gosh, my lighting situation is having a lot of fun here.
So 35 musicians, that's a lot of time,
Yes.
and a lot of different perspectives, though.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so part of this was also kind of looking at early Mexican American women who are also kind of a part of the scene. A lot of their stories are largely unknown outside of kind of the local context. So and looking at the discography, putting on my historian um, sort of analysis in here, looking at the years that these things were coming out. Looking at the timeline and so forth to kind of place this at the very beginnings of rock and roll music, generally considered to be around 1954, 1955. And so a lot of this activity is happening sort of right around the same time. So it's kind of exciting to find such an abundance of this type of music happening in a way that's just not really been explored very much.
So is it all Latino rock and roll pioneers in Texas?
So yeah, this story kind of mostly looks at San Antonio. However, I also kind of look outside of the state of Texas. So it connects Texas to, I go as far as New York. I look at Colorado, California, and also south of the border. The cool thing I think, about this kind of phenomenon of Spanish language rock and roll music and the West Side Sound is that there's actually this transnational connection, as one might imagine, with the Mexican diaspora. Quite literally, at the time period that Mexico was kind of having its kind of earliest sort of origins in rock and roll music, they were connected to these Tejano musicians north of the border. So it also kind of highlights this sort of transnational sort of nature of the Mexican diaspora, right? Sort of crossing boundaries and borders, both musical and political, right? Back in the 1950s and the 1960s.
Wow. So tell us, who are some of these old school or these pioneers of the West Side Sound?
Well, so one of the originators, who's kind of a sideline figure in my book, but when it comes to kind of Chicano rock and roll music, is a rock and roller by the name of Freddie Fender, who's actually from the Rio Grande Valley. Again, since my story is mostly about San Antonio, I don't spend a lot of time on him, but Freddie Fender is kind of credited as one of the first Mexican American rock and roll artists. His music comes out just a little bit before Richie Valens, if you're familiar with him, the kind of great California Mexican rock and roll artist who had songs like Come On, Let's Go, Hey Donna. There was, artists in South Texas who were putting out rock and roll music. and oftentimes in this kind of bilingual manner just before that. So Freddie Fender comes into the story. Locally in San Antonio, I would highlight people like Sonny Ozuna, who I recently met up with again. I was able to interview him, but he's known as something of a pioneering Tejano figure in San Antonio. But before
I,
that, he was kind of making rock and roll music.
I hear there's a shout out to Abe, is it Quintanilla?
Yes, yes.
Father of our future Queen of Tejano, Selena Quintanilla.
That's right. That's right. Abe Quintanilla, the father of future Tejano star, the Queen of Tejano, Selena Quintanilla. Um, for those familiar with the Selena y los Dinos, which is her family band, the origination of that band was actually with Abe's group in Corpus Christi, and they were playing this similar style of kind of West Side sound, musical hybridity of kind of blending rock and roll with Texas Mexican music.
Wow. Well, look, before we run out of time, tell us a little bit about the Latino Studies Association conference that you're currently working on.
Yeah, definitely. So I myself, alongside two other contemporaries in Latino history, we are organizing a panel to explore Texas Latino and Latinx histories. And so I'm kind of presenting on this angle of my book, highlighting specifically the very first Spanish language rock and roll musicians in San Antonio. So that's just kind of one element of my book. And then my peers are also scholars, historians that work at different institutions. And so we're coming together to kind of highlight our own scholarship, to kind of highlight kind of unknown aspects of Mexican American histories at the upcoming Latino Studies Association conference at UT Austin. So it's pretty exciting stuff.
Well, that's exciting, and we wish you much success. We want to thank you, Dr. Alex LaRotta, HCC U.S. and Mexican American History Professor and faculty founder of the HCC Historic Society. We want to remind our students and viewers that HCC has an outstanding history program. Check out the post for it and more information on Dr. LaRotta after the show. Coming up after a quick commercial break, we'll be back with some news and announcements. Don't go anywhere.
¿Por qué esperar para el trabajo de tus sueños? En Houston Community College, la colegiatura es de solo $33 por hora de crédito. Con horarios flexibles y campus en todo Houston, inscribirse en HCC es fácil y accesible. Houston Community College.
When a child is sick, there's one thing they need: a really big cookie.
Welcome to RMHC.
We're not big on poking sticks and beeping machines, but we're the best at playing dress up. We think the Tooth Fairy should travel everywhere, and while hospitals have doctors and nurses, we have mom and dad. Because at Ronald McDonald House Charities, we help families feel at home, even when they can't be.
Our individual voices are powerful, but not everything has a voice. Let us be a voice to the voiceless. It's time to speak up for nature.
Linda, we've got so much going on at Houston City College. First, we've got International Week of the Deaf. HCC is celebrating the entire week of activities lined up to better understand the challenges of deaf people and the hearing impaired. Coming up, the deaf panel discussion is going to be noon to 2 p.m. today, Thursday, September 25th. It's at Central Campus in the San Jacinto building. And then the Quick Connections meeting is 4 to 6 p.m. Friday, tomorrow, September 26th at the Central Harmon building. American Sign Language concert is going to be on Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m., Saturday the 27th actually, at the Central Heinen Theater. Check our post after the show for more information. And what about the art exhibition that's coming up, Linda?
Well, we have an art exhibition for Central faculty members. It's time for the reception for Central Arts Professor, who is among the HCC faculty showcase this fall. Art reception is 6 p.m. tonight, Thursday, September the 25th. Exhibition runs through October the 24th. It's HCC Central Fine Arts Gallery. Check out the post for more information after the show.
Next, the Talk Saves Lives Suicide Prevention. HCC Counseling and Ability Services, in collaboration with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, is presenting Talk Saves Lives, which is a brief yet impactful intro to suicide prevention. It will cover risk factors, warning signs, and how to take action to prevent suicide. Noon, Tuesday, September 30th, and our post after the show will have more information.
Gulf Coast Blood Drive at Coleman. Gulf Coast Regional Blood Center is asking for your donations at Coleman College this month. All successful donors receive free childhood cancer awareness socks and A1C testing for diabetes. It's going to be 10 a.m. Tuesday, September the 30th. Check out the post for more information after the show.
Then we've got National STEM Day, Celebrate with Central College. So HCC Central's Library Student Advisory Council and the Central Science Club are presenting a special event in celebration of National STEM Day. It's called Cultivating Innovation, Technology, and Sustainability in Agriculture. Only the first 200 registrants will receive refreshments, so don't delay in signing up for this event. It's going to be 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Thursday, November 6th, and it's going to be at my favorite campus, HCC Central Campus, in the William Harmon building. So check our post after the show for more information. And Linda, tell us how students can still register.
Last but not least, fall registration continues. There's still time to register for fall classes, including Second Start. HCC classes are offered in a variety of programs, semester lengths, and modalities, including online anytime, online on a schedule, hybrid, both face-to-face and partially virtual, in-person and hybrid labs. To learn more about our HCC program start dates and how to cover options for costs, visit us at hccs.edu/apply.
Coming up as we continue Hispanic Heritage Month, Dr. Melinda Mejia, also of the History Department, will talk about what is going on with her courses. And it will be Film Friday, which is always fun, so you won't have to miss that. So stay with us on your Facebook feed on weekday mornings. And make sure you like this episode and follow us on social media. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.